So in my second attempt at this idea of financing movements, I was interested in vegan businesses because initially I felt that they would represent what I wanted. It turns out that a lot of the vegan movement, I judge projects on all the criteria I care about. Is it good for human health? Is it good for the environment? Is it good for the animals? And a lot of the early projects, like if you look at something like Beyond Meat, it's a very heavily packaged food. So it may have less environmental impact on the ground. I mean, growing, pea protein and that stuff is more efficient and less impactful than growing that stuff and feeding it to cows. But then you've got the pollution product on the back end. And is it really healthy? It can't really be because it's designed to mimic the basic macronutrients of a piece of meat, which fundamentally, if you're in the school of people who actually succeed in healing, the trend is toward a high carbohydrate, low fat diet, which is going to not have much meat in it. And the blue zones, the longest lived people in the world and the healthiest people in the world historically have eaten a high carbohydrate diet. You'll find 100 people saying something different. It doesn't really matter to me. When I say it doesn't matter, I'm not here to try to shame anybody into behavior. But if you're inspired by what I'm doing and you want to get everything that I've got in terms of energy and interest and how much I love my life, then maybe take a page out of my book and don't wait until you're I didn't even begin to get what I'm talking about until I was in my late 50s. It's a terrible waste of my energy because I suffered many different pains and illnesses that I'm now finally, one by one, they're healing. So if I can heal at my age, it's like, why not get started sooner? Okay, so what do I want to say about this? So I shared this vision of my second iteration, I shared the vision with a woman who runs a vegan restaurant or a group of vegan restaurants in Columbus, Ohio. I'm just going to change get better lighting. Anyway, she invested $20,000 in my second attempt to build a purpose-driven finance company. And the laws in the United States had changed, which made me think that I could make a go of it. And again, how I end up where I am now is that even though there were plenty of people who wanted money and I had access to all the money in the world, they couldn't afford to take the time off to just get prepared to receive the money. It was very surprising to me why they wouldn't take a few weeks to prepare so that I could then get them the money they wanted. And I didn't want to try to take money out of the hands of entrepreneurs. I still don't really like doing that because to me, they're the heroes. So I wanted to get paid by the investors, not the entrepreneurs, but they had to get ready to receive. So now almost all of my work is on how many people can I get ready to receive the money they want for their dreams. But okay, so anyway, this is back in around 2018. And the owner of this restaurant, she had 2 restaurants and a vegan grocery store. And she told me one day, she said, Mark, one of my customers came in and they said, can I please loan you $10,000? And the woman didn't need any money. And she said, well, why? It's like, I don't really need any money. She said, well, I hate my portfolio. I know I'm supposed to save money and I've got money in the stock market, but I don't like any of the things I'm invested in. I would like to have one thing in my retirement portfolio that represents my values. So this is another one of those really important understandings of the drive, how underserved the purpose-driven, well, everybody has a purpose. I don't know what you call it. What I'm really saying, I'll come up with a better name, but so often those of us that want to do good in the world think that good can only come from, charities, so-called nonprofit organizations, which, by the way, if a nonprofit organization doesn't make a profit, it'll die. The point of a nonprofit is that it's not taxed. Their profits are not taxed every year. In exchange for that, they basically have to kneecap their whole initiative and can never succeed in their vision. And this woman, this entrepreneur, bootstrapped everything, but she had big visions, but she didn't know anything about finance. And she wasn't quite ready. She herself wasn't ready to receive. She could only bootstrap. So that's what I'm saying. She was successful in the way that she was with two restaurants and a grocery store, but her big vision of a whole kind of plant-based food plaza, experiential center, and really teaching people what she wanted about health. She never, as far as I know yet, has succeeded in that. That's because you've got to be able to jump to a bigger level to handle scale. So whatever scale you want to do, you're in the right place. But I'm just saying, if you have aspirations that are bigger than what you can do by bootstrapping, you're in the right place. And a lot of projects worth doing really don't lend themselves to bootstrapping. I mean, let's say you want to transform the transit system in your city, and you say, well, what's the increment of purchase of public transit? Usually it's $1 or $2. But it may cost $1 million to put in 4 buses or whatever, 4 electric buses, and the charging is about $1 million these days. You can't finance that. You can't say, well, okay, you've got to somehow finance that project so that people can pay you their $2 to be on that piece of public transit. And maybe the government does it, but usually they don't do a very good job. And also governments generally, they're engaged with, private companies. This is, I don't want to get too far afield in this. All I'm saying is that there are trillions of dollars of capital in the hands of people who have excess wealth, 30 trillion at least in the hands of people in the world that care about what you care about and who would be willing to give you a chance to succeed if you're ready to receive. So this investor, the owner of these restaurants, she said, I'd love to take it, but I don't need it. I don't want to have that responsibility. Which is, it's just another one of those parables. I'm giving you a sense of the market for money for your idea. That's what this is about. I've raised money for ideas for over 30 years now. And raising money is an alternative to bootstrapping. And the kind of businesses that I really cut, I don't know the right word, where I really got the experience I need in the capital field, these are businesses that you cannot bootstrap. You cannot bootstrap. You can almost bootstrap an investment company now. If you want to, I'll show you how. But it took me 20 years to learn how to do that, how to start literally with no income and no money and raise $1 billion. You want to do that? Hit me up. All right, that's a lot. The money's there. It's just up to you. Do you want to have your project to succeed? Do you want to live that life, or do you want to be struggling, hustling, trying to bootstrap, spending money you don't have, borrowing from your credit cards, taking out loans against your house, other totally idiotic things? Or you just want to go straight to success? If you want to do the latter, let me know.